What's invisible and smells like carrots? Rabbit farts. Well, welcome to our Christmas party open door poetry evening. Got a handful of some familiar faces, some new faces. I imagine the way poets are, they're probably half of them are getting their pictures next door, and they'll be in here in a few minutes, so don't despair. But it's a pretty good group so far. I have a few announcements later on, but let's start out with one of the biggies. Let's all turn our cell phones on silent or off. It can be very disruptive. I think I turned mine on. I'll have to check it on my code. Another thing, exits there. There's an emergency exit in the back. The bathrooms are over here. Try to keep it around 4 minutes. There's some other rules, but we'll manage through it. I've got a few announcements here as we go on, but I'll get to those in a few minutes. So without any further ado, let's welcome the first poet of the evening. I forgot which one it was. Allison. Okay, let's welcome the first poet of the evening. Big round of applause for Allison Cox.
No, Aiden.
Aiden. Somebody told me.
I can't read. Don't blame me.
I'm going to write the audio while you do it.
Talk for here. Okay. Okay, this one is called The Christmas Cactus. I walked outside and what do I see? A big green surprise waiting for me. A tree wrapped up in ribbon, but this tree looks not like a tree to me. He seems to be stout and as pointy as can be. I told the tree this and he told me this back. Boy, I am no tree you see, for I am a cactus, and I bring joy everywhere I may be. And I can show you how, just for you and just for me. I nodded my head and he grabbed my arm, and just like that we were gone. Flying through the sky so high, going so fast, and then suddenly stopping. The North Pole, the North Pole. Is this where we are? By pole you are right, but by north you are wrong. We stand at the South Pole, where all the magic happens. Where the elves sleep and the reindeer lie down. Come over here and I'll show you around. Here is where we eat and grow, and sometimes we put on a show. And here is where the elves live. Here is where the elves live. And here they eat cookies and drink nog, then lie down for a while and dream of more nog. But I can see you don't care about that. No, you want to see where they make the presents. Well, here it is, my boy, and I'll show you how. Just flick this lever and turn this crank, and bobbity-bibbity, out comes a toy tank. So now you have seen it all, so let's get out of here. Grab my hand and I'll take you back, jingle and all. And with that we were off faster than before, and next thing I knew, I was at my front door. And as he waved goodbye, I thought to myself, what a wonderful day for the Christmas cactus and myself.
Didn't do it.
Put your ears on.
Put your ears on, Brandon.
You need my antlers?
Your antlers.
I'll go into this in a second. All right, well, we're moving on. I can't get it's real popping. I'll try to work on it again in a second. For some reason, the lows are not dropping. Anyway, we're getting a handful of names on here. Oh, there's one I'm sure that'll be on here in just a few minutes, but it won't be his name.
They're all my names.
Hey, turn your cell phone off, dude.
It's on vibrate.
All right, without any further ado, and damn it, you told me.
Rippy.
Rippy.
Yeah.
Let's give a big round of applause for Rippy. Come on up.
Say something, count to 10 or something. Okay.
Yeah, it's about.
Okay, say something.
Well, I've really benefited from coming to these. I love hearing y'all's poems, and I love really challenging myself to write, to come up with something new and fresh. And it's really, I don't know, helped me to be a lot more prolific than I think I normally am. And hopefully y'all feel the same way. This poem will start with a quote by William Faulkner. To talk, to tell is our way, since oratory is our heritage. Did I tell you God is good no matter? Did I tell you God is good no matter what I do? Last night it was supposed to snow, 60%, and it held off like a woman practicing abstinence with a man. I said, God is good, but I still do what I can. Flynn left the wheelbarrow, rake, and flathead shovel by the coop. But they're not even his tools, and that was 4 days ago. I asked Elijah, where's Flynn been? But he didn't have nothing to say. They're Clay's tools, and he's been telling jokes about Flynn taking off with him like he don't need him anyhow. But I know he does. Clay works 60-hour weeks just to make ends meet, just to make bank. Come home and he's out fixing the woodshed's feet. He drinks spring water from his spigot, and he likes to tell me about it. Did I tell you God is good no matter what I do? He's good when I see or am just passing through. But I ain't passing, just saying if I was. The snow started last night while I split okra wood like a man kneading dough with a chopstick. The snow fell quick and for a minute like flecks of quartz that a panhandler had saucered from a mine stream. Like a rhetorician selecting words with big limits. Did I tell you God is good no matter all his critics? Thank you. Can I do one more?
Yeah, go for it, man. You got time.
It's funny how sometimes I can start a poem in the most random places and finish it in a completely disconnected place, and somehow there to feel like there's cohesion in the poem, and this is one of those. The light is coming upon us. The light is coming upon us as snow clouds disperse like friends at a party that will gather again before the season's end. Lights that weren't already on last night now blow over the mountains and valleys through gaunt trees. People at work or home carry their dreams around with them like keepsakes in the pocket. The light is coming upon us like wakefulness before coffee and biscuits, cognizant yet fumbling. The day shoplifted darkness. You couldn't hardly tell it was happening. Then the wind picked up, oddly enough, mimicking the sound of a busy highway. Passing gusts didn't use a turn signal. Paul would say it was a symbol. He made comparisons everywhere. A kite unhinged from its runner, a skink slipping from the spring, rain unrelenting in the winter, clouds that change shape like a dream. Like today. The morning sun came up on the stage and the curtains were pulled away. And Paul would have wanted to say, the light is coming upon us. Everything will fade under the sun. The will dream good when the hoeing's done. Go fetch Flynn if he's free to help. It won't make him rich, but it'll teach him old work. You can't put that in a book. People are moving inside for a living. Let's enjoy it while it lasts. But that is in the past, and since the time that this all started, I can clearly see. Thanks.
All right, that was awesome. Welcome back. I had a really good Bukowski Christmas poem that I left sitting on my counter. Maybe I'll look it up in a minute. So, moving right along, like I said, I have some announcements, but I'm still going to wait until a few more people come in. Good to see you guys. You're a beautiful crowd. Very somber tone this evening, but let's keep moving right along, and let's all give a big round of applause for Alan. Come on up, Alan. One of the regulars. I always like to say that one.
Get food. Food in the back.
There's food in the back.
Have
And
snacks.
drinks.
Eat while I read. Throwing down in Vinemont. I'd broken the cast metal door handle from the driver's door of my old Pontiac, taken the one from the seat right behind me, thinking I never had passengers back there, and driven to Vinemont to pick up a cousin who later would melt sealed his eyelids when as an adult he could not keep from using the meth he was cooking. To supplement money he'd gotten from pawning the jewelry from B&E's from Morgan and Madison counties. I think it was leverage. Not that I'm one likely to snap metal pieces apart, but my elbow positioned just right, let my fingers flex, curling inside the curved handle to pop it. Front windows down the new 31 towards Hartselle, I saw him, looking sick by the flea market huddled in Lacon, dressed in a town layer jacket too warm for midsummer, red trucker's cap pulled so hard down his head that his hair stuck out like its own brim. This was in 1977, and I just graduated from high school, about 6 weeks away from a dorm room, and he must have been about 12. His dad moved out almost a year, and his mom on her third boyfriend since. I'd known she was crazy for years, but I thought her first husband could stand it until he moved out, and she drifted much quicker than we could account for, the family wanting to help but cast off like a life that can no longer fit. So I picked the kid up, thinking he'd climb inside and take shotgun, but he jumped straight into the back seat, rolling down both the windows and lying still, all out of sight of my mirror and singing along with the radio crap I hardly remember since that car had only AM. Nearly 90, the wind through the windows was parching, and my car was roaring the way I think fighter jets roar, running smooth down the highway due south toward Vinemont as I headed home. Near the big water tower, just 2 miles above the last drive-in in Coleman, next door to the trailer park where he was living with his crazy mother and boyfriend du jour, I saw a red flash in the mirror and heard a loud yell from my cousin, the kid in the back I've not named because if he should learn about what I'm writing, he might realize it's a lie and then stir up his mother, whose current addiction has led to her making some death threats to people I know. So the kid starts to yell. I pull off to the shoulder and he tries to climb out of the car, but the door on the side has no handle, and he starts kicking the other door, acting a fool because he could get out on that side if he just had the presence of mind to slide over. And I'm getting fired up because it's my own car that he's scuffing up, kicking the door panel in his broken down earth shoes. I swear it. And all that I want to do then is to reach through the window, grab his bare ankle, and yank the small clown out the back. But I grab him and snap his leg just like the handle. And then bloody murder, he got that much louder. But I saw his cap in the road, ran to fetch it, and threw it back into the car, telling him that he broke like a wishbone, that I'd drive to the ER if he'd just be quiet, that he was a brittle, broke kid. And now he's seared blind, just a mid-40s meth head, and I could count all the things I've broken by accident since that day on my left hand, but couldn't name all the things I've broken on purpose. Whew. Field dressing snow. Miss Trimble in the second grade described how Cherokee would hollow fallen logs to make canoes, hack through the outer bark and char through heartwood, scrape out ash, and shape what hull remained with the sharpened flint, the husk of something dead transformed, conveying braves to food, to war, to villages and men beyond familiar life, a chance at change. Christina Ellison picked out the book for story time that day. She chose Snow White, I think, because the princess was brunette with lips like rubies. She would eat red hots and cherry candy, making pouty red expressions on the playground. There the girl is exiled in the woods, the huntsman sent to kill her overcome with mercy. He through mercy sees a doe and downs it, takes its heart, and offers it as evidence that he will murder as the queen commands. On my first hunting trip, when I was 8, my granddad bagged a doe with one clean shot, and I began to learn how one makes meat of life, to splay a carcass, split its skin from throat to crotch, to tie off guts in case the waist remains, much like the bladder, core the anus, push the lights and guts aside, but save the treasured liver, precious heart, most savory of organs, bury dross and haul the hollowed body home for food. Had I brought down the doe, he said, my cheeks would be smeared red with blood from my first kill. The huntsman knew. The queen intuited that he, surpassing murder, must break through compassion, burst her sternum or reach up into that cooling cage of ribs to grasp a chambered, muscled pump and tear it free. He had to leave the meat. I tell the tale that he, his audience complete, approached the royal cook with one request, to sear that liver, mostly rare. I say he ate it there inside the kitchen, sure that one, some serving girl or such, would spread a tale the queen would hear at last, and he would have a favored spot within her court for life.
Oh, the sacred liver. Hey, I just want to tell you guys, I got it right here. I'll be right back with it. Right here is the sign-up sheet. It'll be right here in front of me when I'm sitting down there. You should be on it. Yeah, you. That's Kevin O'Donnell, one of our guys. Oh, okay. So here's some of the announcements. One of our keepers, Allison Cox, has some homemade items there, some nice scarves and things, and you should go over and take a look. Half of the proceeds are going to go to our collective. Now, I don't know, it was about 5 years ago, I had this idea that we've been doing this for years and years and years, kind of just one Wednesday to the next, and I thought, well, maybe we should get together. And so I gathered a few friends, Kevin, Kieran, the girl named Lindy at the time, and I said, well, we need to sit down and we need to do something. We need to have some kind of goal, some kind of direction to promote poetry, to keep it alive, that kind of thing. Well, since then, we've actually made some steps going in that direction. But one of the steps that we wanted to cross was becoming a nonprofit. So that's why we have the tip jar in the back and some of the things we're selling now. We've got, I think it was $380 has been donated on GoFundMe. That we need to get 800 to make it all work out, and that would pay for us to be a nonprofit and some different software and things that go along with that. So, oh, by the way, you like my antlers? I should wear them like this. So, what was that, Kevin? No, but anyway, so.
Come on, tell a bad joke already.
So, yeah, so on GoFundMe, you could really help us out by donating even a little bit. Will get us a little closer to our goal. There's some more announcements to come, but I will not bore you too much. A bad joke, you say? Let me see.
Or a good pun.
German sausage jokes are the worst. PMS jokes aren't funny, period. All right, moving right along. Let's all give a big round of applause for our next poet of the evening, one of my favorites and a regular from way back. Let's all give a big round of applause for Thomas. Come on up, Thomas. How you been?
Not too bad.
Haven't seen you in a while.
So I'm going to read from a set of pieces that I wrote that are kind of inspired by my favorite Appalachian poet, who is Jonathan Williams, who's from the Boone area. And he made up this kind of poem called the Metaphor, speaking of puns, meta, F-O-U-R. And the only rule is that each line of the poem has 4 words. And at first I thought, that's so random, but I started doing it and realized that when you write poems like this with just 4 words to the line, reality just comes into focus so sharply. You can see across the ages with the vision infinite. Anyway, well, So, as many as I've got time for, Brandon, I'm going to read some of mine, which are called What Fors. And each have their own title. And the first one is 2 architectural postcards from Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Dear Christopher, Madeline, Sam, greetings from this, the most hideous place I've ever found self in. God himself would puke if that is his non-existence were not completely confirmed by the very existence of this cesspool of vulgarity and mental desolation. Please, you must never come here, love, Thomas. Dearest Francie, piece of shit edifice on reverse of this card is single handsomest structure here by a long shot. Never come here, not even on your way to Dollywood, where you should also never go. I mean it, Thomas. This next one's called Robot. You have a problem? That's not the right tool for my problem. This is something that my college literature professor said, and it turned out to have a number of words divisible by 4. Elizabeth Stambler was her name, and she said this in 1987. Keats did not believe in God because women had cancer. How could he or it ever permit women to have such a horrible disease? This is called Copia. A kestrosphindony, an apparatus for hurling stones, not dissimilar from a funditor, but not a ballista or scorpio. And harpe is a sickle-headed sword, larger than a falx. A 5-pronged harpago is an heinous hook. And this next one's, how am I doing for time?
Yeah, you got about, I don't know, 4 minutes left or something.
Oh. Just note from Molly. Your Easter poem is frightening, very effective. Jesus, tuna's in the fridge.
Fucking Carlos Williams.
It's not William Carlos Williams, it's Jonathan Williams. He died in 2008, like the same week that I found out about him. It's really too bad. All right. The last set is three poems which are definitions from a medical dictionary. 3 medical definition poems. The first one, apocephalic. A monster characterized by fusion of the ears, one orbit, and absence of mouth and nose. The next is opistonos, arched position of the body with feet and head on the floor, caused by tetanic spasm. And my last what for is called tetrotus, born with 4 ears.
Oh, better to hear
Time for another?
One more quick one to let you know.
All right, thanks. This one's called A Walk with Ants, and it's not one of those previous kind. I'm gonna walk with the ants tonight. Their memories are massive and external to themselves, and in fact do not contain their dreams or their memories, all of which they nevertheless effortlessly grasp, since with them they coincide. You can only walk with ants for about 2 seconds before your human brain starts to burn out. Tonight, I'm gonna try for 3. Thanks.
Somewhere is the sign-up sheet. Thank you, Thomas. It's good to have you back, man.
Thanks for having me.
Missed you.
You know, ants are kind of crazy. I was in the high Sierras one time, and I saw a group of ants attack a chipmunk and bring it down. I'm not kidding you. They devoured his eyes. Yeah. I don't know how, but all of a sudden this chipmunk was running along, and he went across where these ants were, and they hooked on him like magnets. And the next thing I know, they just kept piling on, and you'd think he could get away from them. But I saw a whole pile of these little red ants, I guess they're fire ants in the high Sierras in California, take down a little chipmunk. And it was horrible because they were eating his eyes out, and I felt so bad, so I felt compelled to get him out of his misery. So I picked up this rock to smash him, and I missed sort of, and it just like crushed half of his skull, and he started going like that. And so I had to pick it up and do it again, and I had nightmares for months after that. But ants, be careful when you're walking with those ants, Thomas. All right, moving right along. Welcome everybody else. We're trying to raise money for our nonprofit, buy something from Allison, and half of it goes to the collective. Let's all give a big round of applause for our next ironic poet. Let's all give a round of applause for Allison. Come on up. I'm not leaving. I'm waiting till you're comfortable. And by the way, I will have the sign-up sheet up by me if anyone would like to sign up. How's that, my dear?
Oh my God, thank you. First time. So, come here a lot, you know, I haven't written anything in a while, but I did last week. And I read it at our Poetry and Wine Wednesday, second Wednesday every month. So I'm gonna read it now. It's a bit of a downer though, so.
Merry Christmas.
They call me the dirty poet. I want that on my tombstone. Here lies the dirty poet. No one remembers her name, but damn, she had fabulous tits. I'm a feminist. I know it's shocking, but I can watch a video of a woman twerking her boobs and marvel at the amazing strength and control she has over her pectoral muscles. And sweet baby Jesus, is it too late for me to learn those moves to combat the intense but purely theoretical gravitational pull on my tits? Why is it that I always think of the best shit at night when I'm curled up tightly under my layers of covers, trying to keep the delicate balance between carbon dioxide poisoning and my nose breathing right off my face? I've got so much going on in my head at one time that trying to have a conversation with me can be as entertaining as filling in the Mad Gab page while you sit in the back seat of your parents' station wagon, trying to drown out their arguing on whether or not your dad should just stop and ask for directions, because even though you've been going to the same vacation spot since before you were born, your dad had yet again managed to get the family lost. My parents died over spring break. I found myself telling my classmates this as I line up the items in my work area. I'm a nester. I need space when I sit down so the gelatinousness that is my soul can spread out and get comfortable. I take it all in stride. I explain rather casually how my mother overdosed on pills because she got too cynical to have any faith in the human race and realized life was pointless. I straightened the desk calmly as I told of the tragic love affair that was my parents. My father loving one woman so deeply that the only way he could express it was by beating her until she understood. But she only ever ended up hating him so much that bile burned in the back of her eyes whenever his name was mentioned. I set my chair at the precise angle to afford me the most efficient view of the instructor, the board, and the rest of my classmates. But just before I sit down, I tell them the tragic ending. When my father heard what my mother did, he couldn't fathom a world without her. and impaled himself on a hunting knife. I sit in my chair, the sun warming my back, feeling nothing but the contentment of being in this singular moment, feeling the heat spread through my soul, the support of my body against the chair, the smell of opportunity in the air. And then I realized it was just all a dream. And after I call my therapist for an appointment, I call my mom to say hello. The medication that keeps me stable gives me some fucked up dreams, but it's all a part of my charm, I guess. Because I'm a patchwork doll, put together with hope and good intentions. That's a joke. I'm kept together by drugs, legal ones that last only so long before I start to feel the crazy kick back in, like now. It's creeping. You may not see it yet, but I do. It's a shadow man who has a price, but what do I pay? What do I do to pay to? What do I pay to keep it quiet? I write dirty poems and talk about sex. I play the penis game even though I'm almost 40. I feed it loneliness and heartbreak, numbness, and sometimes the shadow man leaves me alone. I don't really know what I meant to say, but all I know is that I'm a crazy, messed up patchwork doll. Sometimes I'm the dirty poet, but sometimes I'm so much more.
Well, Merry fucking Christmas. That was awesome. Oh, Christmas. It's a good time for Alka-Seltzers for me. All right. We will move along. Our next poet is one of the keepers and one of the few that have put in a lot of effort towards our nonprofit. So let's all give a big round of applause for Bailey. All right.
Howdy. Real quick before I read, I want to talk a little bit more about why we want to become a nonprofit. Just for a second. We love poetry, obviously, and we love our regional poets, and we want to be able to give scholarships to people who are in this area, who are expressing themselves, writing great stuff, who want to be a part of this community. We want to help them, and we want to help spread poetry, because it's just such a great community, and we want it to grow, and we want it to be exciting and fun, and we want to go to schools and teach kids about poetry, because that's what we're really passionate about. So please help us become a nonprofit. It's going to be awesome. We want everyone involved, and because we just love it so much. So, we're the keepers of the Poetry Collective. We're writing a sort of collective poem about why poetry is important to us. And this is my little section of it that I want to share. I don't believe in much, that's true. I'm too flaky, too changeable, and yet I'm always just too much the same. Poetry doesn't care, though. He doesn't leave me in the middle of the night to slink off to his wife. But I can slink from him all I like, then return a prodigal son and expect nothing short of a glorious reunion. Nothing short of soul-saving hope that there's one thing in my life that doesn't change, that feel of slick black ink on dry white paper. Thank you. And I have one more if I can get to it. So we'll try to get to it. All right. This one is called Dear Sylvia. Maybe. Okay. Dear Sylvia, I don't want to be a confessional poet. There are too many nowadays, worn from generation, overfed, overpriced, coddled, and underdisciplined. I'd rather be a poet of the things they can't see. I want to be their eyes, their ears, their fingers, their tongue. I want to feel for them, fuck for them, and love for them. I want to be 1,000 years in one body given 80. I want to be 1,000,000 footsteps in a pair of shoes that won't last 20. But here I go telling you all about myself. Maybe I too am overfed, overpriced, coddled, and underdisciplined. But maybe tomorrow I'll change. Sincerely, Bailey.
All right. I'm kind of glad we just avoided the Christmas theme altogether. Well, without any further ado, I guess it's not ironically, our next poet is also one of the keepers. Let's all give a big round of applause for Kieran.
Perfect. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello. Happy Hanukkah. For any of you that are celebrating Hanukkah, I don't know if you celebrate Hanukkah, but happy Hanukkah. So we're in the festive season. This is the time we eat a lot of food and drink and all sorts of things. So I write a lot about food. I sometimes write a lot about politics, but I think I'm going to focus on the food. And tell you a little bit about poems, food poems I've written before I came to this country, and food poems I wrote while I've been in this country. But I'll tell you a little bit about back home in Scotland, in Glasgow. We've got a big love for food and diversity. I grew up making aloo saag, Indian-style masala pizzas. There's all this idea of fusion foods. So not necessarily traditional British, not a traditional British family, but we had fish and chips, but it had to be with sprinklings of haldi and chili powder. Dal always made the best hangover cures. In Scotland, we have Scottish food fusion. So, for example, every city in Britain claims to have invented the British korma curry. From the Birmingham Balti to the Glasgow chicken vindaloo. There's even a place in Glasgow where you can have stag and hen parties and you can go and sing to your favourite curry songs. Karaoke, we call it. You can eat a balti dish and sing, "'Tis on my pillow, Papa don't preach, I'm in trouble deep, music on the dance floor, stand by your man." You get stand by your man. Okay. Or the 80s classic, "Korma, korma, 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 chameleon." Anyway, moving to the US, we've had grits and beans. And if you're, screw that. From Tennessee to New Orleans to the North Carolina State Fair, here's just one poem I wrote for my love of discovering the diversity of folklore of who we are through my love of food. And this poem is called Nonsense. This poem may not change things, but it may need to be changed, altered, adapted, edited, broken up, made into a pill, a flu shot, drank from a cup, sung, swallowed, smoked from a bong, made into a song. It speaks to those who still drop bomb, to men who believe they can do no wrong, who think this sentence is far too long, who speak of a city of a shining hill, that send men out to kill, only to be killed, only to return in a bag. The world gone bollocks, the world gone mad. Believe me, there's more to life to be had. Sugar, stripes, candy, stars, the truck express, the big booty bars, pork, potato, pulled pork, ham, southern fried dim sum, or thank you ma'am, Mima's, buttermilk, homemade biscuits, state fair, deep fried, try it, brisket, deep fried Kool-Aid, deep fried brownie, deep fried Oreo, sugar on a stick, sickle, Mount Olive, pickle, black eyed peas, sweet iced tea, whipped beans, Southern Dream, Winston-Salem, Krispy Kreme. Jalapeno, I'm coming to get
Back to the biscuits.
biscuits. Jalapeno, I'm coming to get you. I like jalapeno. I love jalapeno. The tiny, sweet, hot pepper. Some would call it jalapeno, but if your name was Jorge from Mexico, it'd be a jalapeno, no? But for the purpose of this verse, I'm going to stick with jalapeno. From an armadillo egg to the Texas toothpick, a jalapeno slammer, the hot tangy teas, a popular appetizer, stuffed jalapeno with cheese, cheddar, or feta. There ain't nothing better. Breaded, deep fried, take a trip on this jalapeno ride. Jalapeno, and that's what I call a sour surprise. It all started out when I was small and I discovered this jar of long green pickled capsicum. And ever since then I've been addicted to this hot-seeded flowering plant. To the cooking culinary, scientifically a fruit, and now when my taste buds develop, it's a jalapeno, but their taste buds soup. Now imagine a pizza without my little green succulent tangy sweet kick. I'll eat pizza bare, leaving other toppings, putting other ingredients aside. All I need is a jalapeno, just the trick.
Here comes the hot stopper, the jalapeno popper, full to the brim with cheese. Order a side dish of pure, juicy, hot, spicy jalapeno squeeze. Smothered in batter, you're seducing me, you hot, saucy Latin tease. But I can't resist it, this jalapeno course that I'm on. With nachos, picante, salsa, red sauce, what's going on? What is this route that I follow? Is it a chili that I swallow? No, it's even better, it's a jalapeno pepper. That's what I'm talking about. A particular unique sensation, that intense burning on the tongue. Ain't nothing can go wrong if you follow my tip. Balance it with sour cream dip on your tortilla chip. Go on. Put away your silly gazes, try it, give it a go. Reach out for the green goddess at least once in your life. You're missing out. Imagine if you died and never had a go. That would be just plain tragic. So before it's too late, have some of this mad, crazy Mexican magic. I love jalapeno, got nothing to do with being exclusive, singling you out or picking out the best chili spice. But for me, I'm just saying that with pizza, omelette, haggis, with anything, jalapenos goes nice. You can choose from so much variety, the best chilies in town. If you believe in celebrating diversity, well, this is Britain. There's multiple chilies to go round. So choose your chili wisely and eat them at your leisure. Chew those peppers well. To me, jalapeno, you ain't nothing but hot, spicy pleasure. Watch out, jalapeno, because I'm coming to get you. How much time have we got?
Oh, 3 minutes.
All right, so I'll do a short one.
My watch is broken.
I got one about Tupperware and I got the Hillbilly Rotties. So the Tupperware's a bit longer, or the Hillbilly Rotties. Okay, let me do Tupperware. So, my sister said, this is the first poem I ever wrote, by the way, and ever performed, with a group of 4 poets, and I was really nervous, and this is a true story. I collected this crazy thing, and I was sitting around a campfire, unpacking all my stuff from these crazy little boxes, and my friends said, what are you doing? I said, oh, I collect these things. And they thought it was really hilarious, so we ended up writing this poem. And they said, come and perform it one night at poetry night. And I said, I can't do that, I can't go up on stage. I was 28 at the time. And they nurtured me, they supported me, and ever since then I've been writing poetry and performing. And that's what poetry collectives do, they support and nurture poets. So, support poetry. Now my sister said not to tell a girl this on the first date, because she would run a mile. But I told this girl once and she thought it was ace. Really, she did. I like Tupperware. I don't buy Tupperware, that's not what it's about. It's about finding Tupperware. You don't collect Tupperware, Tupperware comes to you. It's the challenge of finding the right piece of Tupperware for the job. It's about containing things. I like to have things contained, but just right. I like to be able to contain my lunch in the right piece of Tupperware. I like to be able to contain my leftovers in the right piece of Tupperware. I like to be able to contain everything in Tupperware. It's about being a new man, sensitive and caring, but full of surprises and small wee boxes. I love finding the right piece of Tupperware. It comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes, from the Russian dolls that fit all occasions to the takeaway box, suitable for microwaves. I love them. Like once I took a bunch of school kids to a museum and their teacher had packed them all a lunchbox that included small Tupperware which fit 4 to 5 grapes in it. Now Tupperware for 4 grapes, how good is that? Or disposable ones if you make food for someone who won't wash it and give it back. Not everyone deserves the best Tupperware. I like Tupperware that fits perfect into my freezer, enough for 1 or 2, or more if you're entertaining. Little ones for herbs or garlic or chili or ginger mix, round ones or long ones for a coriander fix. I have herb and garlic, chili and ginger mix preparation days. Everything gets chopped up and into Tupperware and into the freezer. There's nothing better than a freezer full of Tupperware, containers contained. There is even a new art form emerging, a combination of box swapping and dance. It's called Tupperware. Tupperware. Okay. But I love to cook. I used to make my friend lunch every day and pack it all up in Tupperware. Everything contained no waste. And when she'll get to work, she'll carefully unpack it all, taking each piece of Tupperware out of the bigger Tupperware, and she'll lay it out on her desk. And then she could choose where to start with, and when she was all done, it all went away again. No loose Tupperware anywhere. Everything's sorted. Her friends were well impressed and wanted their own Tupperware action. But they would have got the disposable Tupperware, like the microwave boxes which fit your sandwich and some crisps. And it doesn't matter if you don't get it back, you just order a new takeaway and restock. I like slim Tupperware to fit in my bag for lunch, or big Tupperware to impress the ladies. Ladies love Tupperware. Ladies respect the Tupperware, and they always give it back to you if you lend it them. I have sushi Tupperware that has indents in it for my pickled ginger, my wasabi, and my fold-away chopsticks. But my favourite Tupperware is the perfect size for a sandwich, a bourbon biscuit, and a plum. But if I'm going camping, I take very low quality Tupperware. I won't take the best Tupperware camping. It can get lost or stolen by squirrels. But it still has to be right. I have camping Tupperware for my tea bags, square and round. Tupperware for cooking oil, packed safe and sound. They all pack perfect, this Tupperware loot, and fit nicely in the bottom of my car boot. Car boot? That's like a Tupperware box. I never thought of that. Yeah, I'm right. Call me the new man, because Tupperware is where it's at. Thank you.
While I try to get the heat going, Bailey is going to show you our silent auction item donated by Arlene and Rudy Angelmeyer. Thank you very much. Did I say that right? Very good. If you'll go kind of show that around. People are complaining it's cold, and I tried to turn this on, but
It's very loud.
pardon me. It's going to make noise, so we're just going to have to compromise one way or the other. Why did it not come on? It says it's on. Try getting it.
Bringing it over to me and they haven't.
Oh, you mean the checking?
It was like.
Well,
Alright. So to help us with our fundraising efforts, they've graciously donated this gorgeous bracelet for us to auction off. It'll be at the back. It's all handmade, or it's fiber artist. Is that what?
Kumihimo, and it has a snap that can be exchanged. I brought some others with me in case there's another choice that you'd like. The snaps are sold by Hallmark for $6.95. I have others that are cheaper, but it just loops back on. It's really easy to put on and take off.
It's beautiful, and you can go. I'll put it in the back, and there's a sheet where you can write a bid and your name and an email or a phone number so we can get in touch with you. It's gorgeous. It's perfect for a Christmas gift for a week away from Christmas. So I'll put it back there. Please give them a hand for being great. So and we'll be right back here.
Thank you.
now the heat's going to turn on, so it's going to be real noisy. So I'm going to try to turn the volume up. So the next poet that will help me out will be my friend. Let's all give a big round of applause for a great poet. Come on up, Scott Honeycutt. And Scott, if you will you count to 10 or just talk for a second and let me get the volume a little bit higher.
Thanks for signing me up.
Oh yeah, I saw you wave at me. The mic level of the height, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I count 10 or tell us some quick stories.
Oh, yeah. So, good evening. All the poems I brought this evening are rejects. So, all of them have been rejected at least 8 times by various literary journals across this wonderful country. So I thought if anyone's ever going to hear them, I would kind of thrust them upon you this evening. We'll see how they feel. Perhaps most poems probably need to be rejected, so these are probably included. 1 to 10.
That's good. It's not too hot. I'll be back here.
Are we good? Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. This first poem is called "Because a Poem is Not Always a Story." Because a poem is not always a story, I can utter the lines, "The snow fell through empty hemlock boughs like flowers sifted by your hands," without the encumbrances of plot, development, or resolution. There is conflict, though, a conflict that arranged the descending snow and delivered this kneading flesh all that beauty and knowing aloud on this side of the sky. Reject 1. Reject 2. This is entitled Unfinished Walk to Black Point. I skim my hands through blades of marsh grass. It is here, in the shallows of the James and York rivers, that men with red whiskers first learned to paddle the slow, wet swamps of Virginia. They splashed by muskrats that built huts of pine needles, while all along the shore, green herons dashed their necks into the muck. The first panther was shot here. The men strung her up with braided hemp. First, they crafted necklaces from her claws and bone, and then her eyes were pocketed like two soft marbles as her tail was tailored into a belt. At last, her lungs and stomach were tossed to the pit crabs, and her polished skull was sported into the myrtle tide. But now it's November, so the bald cypress presses its shadow across the James and York, and all seems so well, though it's hard to forget the cold mud, chest deep in panther hides. And this last poem was written in 1999, so it's an ancient poem for me. It's entitled Home on December 1st. The lake tonight is like a Flemish tapestry, dark and faded against the sky. It drifts in its weave, dipped, curled, and swirled in liquid chords. Its lilt braves up toward the flicking porch lights that glow near the shore. If I were a suicide, I would make my selfish claim here among the cattails and silt. So beautiful was she tonight, silent as an abbey. In the distance, 4 geese land, and a fisherman checks his line as the moon strolls out into her yard of stars. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. So the heat's on, and I think we have the level where we can manage. Everybody comfortable? Everybody having a good time? Everything okay here? Yeah. Are you panicking, Thomas?
I just gotta go.
I'm out of here. Screw you guys. Scott was talking about one from 1999, and there's in one of the classes that I'm taking, it's the psychology of fairy tales. Now there's a subject you can really get into. But one of the things is we're supposed to analyze dreams. So I'm going to try my best to do this one by memory, and some of you guys that have been around for a while, you've heard it before. But this one too is from '99, and it was written in 1999 around this time, like just pre-Christmas era. And I'll give you a very quick preliminary, and I don't usually do this, but I want to do this with this one. I had gone to see a girlfriend that I was dating in the dorms. I was an undergrad. And this would have been in 1995, or 4, 5, yeah, math. So I went to see her. She wasn't there, but her roommate was, and her roommate was crying, and I said, hey, what's wrong with you? And she says, I think my sister's dead. And I said, whoa, slow down a minute. Why do you think your sister's dead? So we went into the dorm room, we sat down, and she started telling me about her sister who had been doing fine, had finished her undergrad, but then got involved with the wrong guy, and some things had gone bad. So she'd moved out west and ended up becoming a heroin addict. And so she generally, even through all that, had made contact. Well, I didn't know anything. I said, I hope it all works out, et cetera, et cetera. Strangely enough, 4 years later, I was working in television, and I got to know this girl. We went out for a few times, and then to my strange circumstances, it was the girl who the other girl had thought was dead. And when I told her I knew her sister, it was like, oh, it's a small world. You're not kidding. She came to me in a dream. She came to me through a beautiful dream about 4 years before we met. And I believed in that dream, that nightmare, until it came true. And evil, sickness, pain, and death. These are the subjects of the baby nightmares, the baby bad dreams. Because the serious ones are the ones that you don't fear until you awake. And the scarier ones are the ones that are beautiful while you sleep. And I dreamed her and I was dead. Because in days she owned me, and in dreams I was lost. When I met her, the nightmares changed. I could no longer believe in my dreams, because she was a real dream, a walking, talking subject of desire, and she owned my life before she ever knew I was alive. And she owned my life before she ever knew I was alive. and she picked me apart as this broken-winged pigeon in the filth of San Fran Alley. And she tears my flesh as if I were a piece of molded dry toast on a windowsill. And she is this pigeon. There isn't enough cocaine in Colombia to give that bird enough strength to make it back to the statued soldier with shit-covered shoulders in the park, because this angel broke her own wing. She broke her own wing for the money, for the heroin, for the pain that she loved. She broke her own wing by letting the sailors screw her again and again, bleeding on them inside and out. She let the hate mess up her brain. But she used the hate to buy the needlepoint vessel, that ship that could take her away, and all she ever wanted was to get away. And she found a way, but the only way back was gone, and all this trauma had shaped her into this blade that had slipped into my dreams. And I was innocent but burnt. I was an old man with beaten eyes from crying blood after walking away from her image in the dreams, but the dreams wouldn't stop, especially while I was awake, especially while I was especially drunk or especially sober. When she came into my visions, my hands dripped sweat and I began to bleed blood. I tried to be smoke in her wind, but I could never be more than a birthday candle that wouldn't blow out, because to her I was an outside breeze with no trees, no sand, as if I weren't there at all. And then 10,000 years later, I woke up this morning late. I kind of chopped that one. All right, moving right along. Let's give a big round of applause for our next poet. Great voice. Been with the collective since it started. Let's give a big round of applause for Mackenzie.
Sunday morning services beat against my head like the IRS coming to repossess any ounce of truth I have left about who God really is. It seems to be a never-ending battle between right and wrong, what I can and cannot do, and who I can and cannot be. As if dreams are a disease and conformity is a good thing, unless I'm conforming to beliefs that aren't theirs. Since I was conceived, I've been a fighter. I haven't stopped kicking and screaming and fighting even though I'm scared, terrified. Because even though I try not to believe the lies, the words they used against me are still in the back of my mind. See, I was born into a control camp called church, where wild hearts were caged, hurtful words were thrown in rage, brains washed of individuality and curiosity, couldn't even begin to question authority, but something inside of me rebelled. I've grown up to be everything they were afraid of, a strong, tattooed woman with a mind of her own. And with every marking, there's a lesson that's been drilled into my head. Speak life on my wrist as a reminder to never repeat the awful words they said. A cross on my back that they were determined to make me carry anyway. I wish they'd understand the craziness of their twisted ways of thinking, and how their closed-mindedness is more of a disease than my dreaming will ever be. The God I serve finds beauty in the wildest creatures, gives grace to those who know they're imperfect, and loves regardless of color, religion, or orientation. That is the kind of God I choose to serve. Though it's been years since I left church, the memories still creep back in and it still hurts. I was strong-willed, so I had to be broken. But those wounds they cruelly left open left room for a match to be lit under my broken heart and a fire to be set in my soul. So here I am, soul blazing, out of control, still broken, but alive. Thank you.
All right. Okay, we have the tip jar there. Remember, we're trying to raise money to be a nonprofit. I will have the sign-up sheet in front of me over here. Without any further ado, let's give a big round of applause for Katie. Come on up, Katie. One of our keepers. Another one that's been with the collective since the get-go. And even before then. She saw me get real drunk and do poetry hanging upside down one day.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure. So I'm just going to read a little short piece.
that I actually just wrote. And then I'm going to ask my daughter to come back up and do a piece that we've done before, but this one's can be kind of a downer, so we'll do this other one and it's a little more upbeat. This one doesn't have a name, like I said, I just wrote it. Lying in bed, overwhelmed with anticipation and great expectations of all the toys and clothes and other gifts ready for Mama's huge Christmas morning breakfast. Hash browns, cheese grits, biscuits, and eggs and bacon. How Daddy loved bacon. Then waking up each Christmas day became an even greater joy when my anticipation and great expectations were of the expressions on my daughter's face when she opened her toys and clothes and other gifts, ready to help Mama with huge Christmas morning breakfast, hash browns, cheese grits, biscuits, and eggs, and bacon. How Granddaddy loves bacon. Waking up each Christmas day has changed. Now it's my daughter's anticipation and great expectations of my surprise when I open the present she buys with her own money. But now I have to make the breakfast without Mama. But Daddy still loves bacon. I think we've actually done this piece here before, but I'm gonna do it again. This is a little piece called All We Need Is Love, and it samples a couple of the Beatles songs, one being All You Need Is Love and the other one being Imagine. So that's why I need her help. You mean like, okay. Love, 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 love. All we need is love. I don't mean that fluff kind of love that vanishes like a puff when things get tough love. That's just not enough love. All we need is unconditional, beyond traditional, firm foundational, fully nutritional to the soul kind of love. That never gets smug, nor huffs and puffs, nor shrugs you off kind of love. We need that won't judge but will give you a hug even if you're a drunk, druggie, or thug kind of love. When will society start to see how our world really needs to be? Don't you agree that all we need is love? All you need is love. All I need is love. Love is all we need. Can you see? What we really need is to stop pretending and start extending, more forever friending, prejudice transcending, not easily offended nor offending, hand-lending, heart-mending kind of love. Please open up your eyes and see that all we need is love. All you need is love. All I need is love. Love is all we need to finally be free of enmity and apathy. Oh, please won't you hear my plea? Stop seeing only your neighbor's idiosyncrasies, irregularities, inadequacies, and nonconformities. Can't you see that diversity is a gift from God above, the one who created us to love, whose first name is even love? Oh, I've had enough. Everyone just needs to stop and imagine all the people living life in peace. Ooh. But who could possibly believe this impossible dream? Can you say with me that you believe? Hopefully we will see the day when we will all be in unity. So though right now you may say I'm a dreamer, I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. 'Cause all we need is love.
That was cool. I put it to you guys to do another one where you use the song. What's the one? You know. So this is Christmas. What are we doing? What's that called? Anybody? So this is Christmas. Hey, all right. It's a good title. All right. Moving right along. Let's all give a big round of applause for our next poet. Big round for Robin Steele. Come on up. I mean, you get me every time. John Moody, ladies and gentlemen. Great.
Oh yeah, cool.
Sign up sheet, anybody?
Please stick around for round 2. I'll read something new. This one's from this series called Regenerational Hymn. I, with the becoming of my vibration, mends all broken hearts, knitting bone ends back to full function. And by design could align your band, tribe, nation, and crew to aid us in the daily goal of acting as unction. Many woes on this planet are diverse and complex, though none of their solutions exist outside of our hands' grasp. We lift you from the throes of a Piscean cycle, death curse, and old soul classed by pollution and venom of vasp. That's the metaphor for caste and war, which are to be abhorred in this world turned insane by a pathogen of lies. I hope it ain't a pain for you to come clean, comprise a plan, really mean it, and stand against the devious. You may need to check your breath and redirect the third eye to how it spied as a child or some lifetime previous. Now I practice what I teach because I'm a student and a creature who yearns to learn your style and smile should I meet you. The debate's getting heated. Should we stay the course, take steps in a regressive direction or way more abrupt options? My fate's to never be defeated by evil's source in a state of oppressive corrections and corrupt copping. I'm stopping at every life form to view its beauty and grin a bit while walking backwards through hell from Babylon. With no impediment, even a 12-ton rock of sediment gets chopped to block and paves the way we travel on. I could save the day, but don't much want another such habit, and you wouldn't have had to stab at it for yourself. Disregard ground score, war spoils, health elixirs, magic oils for anointing or experience points you to accrue through stealth. To find it's the era of the water bear, or at least all the hominids who share their sacred geometry. Our simple songs of love and peace and prominence cease the dominance of harps, abattoir technicians bombing me. That technology could probably see use for greater good, but the owners may be haters who don't think they should. If you stagger from attacks by cloak and dagger actors, perhaps it's time to look in the mirror and lift the hood. To know you are spectacular, your own most distracting factor and the greatest mystery to be understood. Traipse gaily through the holy wood, sky-clad and glad, singing spells as blessing to all the caustic fauna and flora. Clamor no more for the glamour of flesh as your vampire class evolves next into a Gnostic prana explorer. Rise above this present global order of neural old world hoarders to surmise their entire empire's demise comes soon. Do what you want. That's enough. It's no stunt. I'm really this tough and ready to actualize as a boon. Though I have bathed in the bitter waters of affliction, far from the river in this vain corporate slave state game in which truth is harder to swallow than the strangest fiction, it still increases frequencies of waviness in my brain. Then all the illusions like pernicious poison prescriptions leave like contusions through my veins and loosen body pains. Life can be but a ruse of abuse and bruises. Your form is a warm vessel, not just a bus for buffering, but to muffle the child's cries, setting fires, diffuses, because it's up to us to staunch the pus of human suffering. I will launch an inner vision that's intergalactic as my rhymes prime. Directive is meant to be didactic, an erratic message dropping axioms sporadically and free from invective or other drastic tactics. If I offend, please forgive me the scattered patterns, but it's still been my knees for ends that are anticlimactic. I won't battle with the extremities of my temple or similarly waste any lovingly learned verbiage. One who rattles that saber gets the same simple amenities as friends and enemies. I meant to have a cut, but to your health and courage. May you display foresight to avert strife with me and so learn how much more easy life could be. In collaborating, I fight none and am elated to enhance trance energy when dancing fancily. It's a poetry, bones and muscles know where words' purposes are well wedded to nervous systems hustle and flow. Eyes open wide with scope like the crow flies. I focus deep inside for dope lines to theme the scheme around hope and cope. I know how to handle a rope and hold tight the whole ride to a formula for soap, light, and gold to dethrone the Pope. We redistribute that Vatican gold to each head as showbread till society works more slowly and better fed. I grow my own on the low with love for snitches, hoes, fighters, witches, politicos, biters, and the walking dead, because I read once in a time past that children of men would have no place to lay claim and rest a collective dome. That was in a tone which may be more like an eons old game of telephone or propaganda than a holy poem. And so I give thanks to the creative force that replicates my DNA, steers blood course, and enlivens the loam. Keep striving in the day of survival to pray will be shown a way to thrive, smash brackets of class, and stay home.
Still got it, buddy. Now, have I heard one of those before? Or those? I know there's a couple new ones. They're all over.
Huh?
I've heard one of those before, right?
Yeah, that's one of those. I've done that before.
Scott, since I had put you in there, there's a miscommunication. So let's go ahead and I'm going to ask you to give me help to give a warm round of applause. In my opinion, one of the best poets that's ever been on this stage. Great man, wonderful writer, great reader. Let's all give a big round of applause for Ron Giles. And I said it right. For years I called him Giles and Giles and everything else. Do you need the podium, sir? Okay.
Thank you. It hasn't been all that long since I read right here at the coffee house a poem saying that I was going to give up writing poems about cotton fields and Coosa River quicksand and the crazy old Asian war. I was going to leave all that behind. I'm not going to do that anymore. The title of this poem is The Last Time I Heard Johnny Lynn Preach at the Yellow Creek Baptist Church. I try to follow in it something like the form and some of the diction of Puritan or Calvinist sermons from early American lit. Taking a text from the 5th chapter of Romans, in the center of which Land said he wanted to live the rest of his life, he quoted St. Paul on the certain cause of sin in the world, and thus verse 15's gift by grace, on which his sermon turned like Land, loosen his tie, voice a crescendo, time to the slow pulling of the paisley from his neck and flinging it over his shoulder to land on the piano bench. Slowly he shed his coat as 200 Christ the Shepherd Funeral Home fans swayed back and forth across sweaty faces, already raped by the handsome man with the curly blonde hair and a Lord Byron limp, shedding garments like the lady at the men's only welcome tent at the county fair. I sat there near the screened back door, and I could smell the verbena growing alongside the front steps, while the men in the overflow crowd stood in the churchyard, smoking Lucky Strikes and listening to Johnny Land elucidate the scripture by saying that it meant what it said. Therefore, as by the offense of one, judgment came upon all men to condemnation, his voice now a panting cry as he walked down the aisle and through the screen door onto the porch, where he preached to the crowd of men in moths and candle flies circling the light bulb above the wooden steps. The cotton had been laid by, and the weary ready to hear again. As Johnny Land declined re-entering the church, the screen door slamming behind him like a bolt, that the justification was no further away than the altar, and glorification awaited him just inside the pearly gates, and that soon, because he believed that we now live in the Saturday evening of time, to which death reigns until grace reigns through righteousness. He breathed heavily, his sweat-soaked shirt clinging to his body, climbed atop the piano bench, lowered his voice and whispered that the only question between now and then was, what are you going to do in the meantime? His application was right there at the beginning of chapter 6. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? And he jumped to the floor and beckoned the convicted to the altar, where to the choir singing with Just As I Am, he fell, praying with 4 boys and 2 girls who had not lived long enough to sin very much. And I slipped out the screen door and walked down to Yellow Creek, stuck in the Wednesday night of time in June of 1963, listening to a chorus of frogs and swatting a halo of gnats swimming about my wicked head.
Still got it, man. That was awesome. Hey, I want to invite you guys to this very room on New Year's Eve. We're going to be doing some vaudeville stuff. They're going to kill me 3 or 4 times over. Probably drown me, maybe cut my head off. They're definitely going to put me in a straitjacket. There's going to be some aerials, some music, some vaudeville things, a little bit of plays, some there might be 5 gallons worth of champagne at midnight if I don't spill it. So, you're all welcome to come out to this very room on New Year's Eve to our vaudeville show. Now, moving right along, one of my good friends, good poet, hell of a guy. Let's all give a big round of applause to Kevin O.D. I mean, Kevin O'Donnell. I don't even know him.
The Saturday night of time, I like that.
I don't have much. I had to miss on October, and this was one I meant to read during October. For the last few years, I've been going with family out to the Outer Banks of North Carolina in October. Fall break. Has anyone been out there? It's a crazy place. It's beautiful, but it's like doom. It's all going to wash away within a few decades, probably. But it's really beautiful, and I'm not really much of a beach person, but in October, there's no one out there, and you're kind of out in the middle of the ocean, and the sun goes down, you see all the stars, and it's something. Some of my family members and old friends, like people I've known since kindergarten, literally, from up in Ohio, and my brother as well, they're into kiteboarding, which is this thing where you get a high-tech kite that pulls you on a board.
Did you do it?
You've got to practice. We don't have any wind. You've got to practice the kite. Plus the gear costs a lot of money, and I just go out there to be out there.
So the answer was no.
No, the answer is no. I've done windsurfing, but... So this is entitled Kiteboarding, North Carolina Outer Banks, 2013. Nature never meant for it to be like this. Out on these piles of sand, strewn with shipwrecks, the graveyard of the Atlantic. The Pamlico Sound, 3 feet deep, 30 miles wide, and 70 degrees Fahrenheit in October. There a kite sail on high describes a graceful arch like a parenthesis. Parked in neutral above my brother's head, until he drops the wing into the power zone. And neither water nor air, nor on land, but somehow, of all three, yet denying also fire, defying the forces that made it, the petroleum-based fabric, the lightweight carbon fiber, the institutions of higher learning, the insatiable markets for technology, with the wind offshore and the board on plane under the graceful arch. In the white October light, the smile will make your face ache, so that for today, no one here will ever have to die.
All right, did you guys like what you've heard so far? If you got any spare change, come on, please give us some money. We need to make $800. We only got about 400. We've got one poet left. We're going to take a short break. We will have a second round if anybody wants to stick around for a short while. So let's move right into it. Remember, if you like what you hear, the tip jar is in front of us. We're just trying to become a nonprofit to promote poetry. It's been a wonderful night. Great poets, great readers. Without any further ado, let's all give a big round of applause for Rudy. Come on up, Rudy. Suave.
Very suave. Oh yeah, great entry. Hi, I'm actually not a poet, I'm more of a storyteller, and I hope that you will indulge me. The story is not really a Christmas story, but it kind of fits today. It's actually a Spanish folk tale. It's about this little old lady that lives in a little hollow all by herself, and her pride and joy is a pear tree. And every year she has the best pears in the county. The only problem is, all the kids in the neighborhood also like her pears. And she has a hard time holding on to them and really getting to use all the pears. So, that's the way it goes. Well, one day, a gentleman comes by, traveling by, and she takes him in and she feeds him and he stays in the guest room and all. And the next morning he says to her, "Is there anything I can do for you?" He says, "Well, you know," she told him about her problem. He says, "Well, you know, I can help you with that. I can help you, and all you have to do is, it's going to be up to you how you use it." Okay. Well, the next day, she's out there and she's watching some boys stealing some of her pears. And suddenly she realizes they can go there and take them, but they can't leave. Whoa, so that's the treasure the gentleman had given her, and it was up to her now whether she would let him go or not. So when she saw this young boy stealing her pears, she went out and she cut him with a switch. And she gave him a good, what for? And then she said, okay, you can leave. And they got off and they left. Well, they got a bit better over time and she didn't lose that many pears. Well, time went on and she got kind of old. And guess who kept visiting her one day to collect her? Death. Well, she didn't want to go. So she had a plan. She says, well, listen, I know it's a long walk back to where you are, but can you do me a favor? Can you collect me 1 or 2 pears that I can take with me on a trip? He said, well, if it makes you move any faster, of course. So he went out there and he picked a pear. And he couldn't move. He was stuck to that pear tree. So she really sat there and she thought about what could she do? What could she do? How could she let him go? And she didn't. Well, what happened? With no death around, people didn't die. The hospitals overflowed with people being sick and sick and sick and sicker. The funeral parlor had to shut up business. I mean, it was a real disaster in the whole country. And everybody went around looking, where did death go? Where did death go? Well, one day somebody stumbled into her little area and found Death hanging onto this pear tree with all his life. That's a little pun there. And she said, okay, I tell you what, I'll let you go, but under one condition. You must never come back for me. He said, sure, anything, I want to get rid of you. So she let him go and he left. And that's kind of the end of his story. What I didn't tell you was, her name was Misery. And that's why we have so much misery in this world, all over. And you know what else misery loves? Company. Don't all of you become their company. Think about this time of the year, what the real reason for Christmas is. Don't go along with what everybody else says to do, and know the real reason for Christmas, and have a wonderful Merry Christmas. Thank you for allowing me to tell.
I don't normally say this here, but I too am a storyteller, and you've inspired me. So at the beginning of the second round, I'm going to tell a very inspired story. So at this point, we're through with the first round. Thank you all for coming out. Check out Allison's stuff over there, and remember, we're trying to become a nonprofit. Stick around. We're going to take a short break, use the bathroom, go smoke a cigarette or whatever you got to do. And we will be back in 15 minutes or so. Thank you very much, you all.